Welcome to Mom Week. I am so excited about this.
Yay, moms.
My friend, Dr. Darria Gillespie, is going to spend the week with us. Couldn't be more excited. We first met together when we both worked for ShareCare. And ShareCare is an awesome online platform for health. And Darria wrote to me and said, hey, I have a new book coming out February 19th. It's called Mom Hacks, 100 plus science-backed shortcuts to reclaim your body and your brain, raise awesome kids, and be unstoppable.
I wish that was out 15 and a half years ago.
Well, she's going to give you some tips to help you survive. So a little bit about Darria. She earned her medical degree from the University of Rochester School of Medicine. Her residency in emergency medicine, actually fairly rare for a woman, at Yale. Her MBA from Harvard Business School. After residency, she joined the faculty at Harvard Medical School, where she worked in the ER at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center in Boston. She's a practicing ER physician, currently works as a clinical assistant professor at the University of Tennessee School of Medicine. Formerly on the faculty at Harvard. She's on television a lot. She's a national spokesperson for the American College of Emergency Physicians. And she's passionate about teaching other people, especially moms, on how to be healthy.
I have a question, Darria. Dr. Darria.
Yes.
You're a serious superstar out there. And how much of that prepared you for being a mom?
How much of... Does anything, well, that's a really good question. Does anything really prepare you for being a mom?
Except being a mom.
Exactly. I think they say the only perfect parents are the ones who haven't had children yet.
Right, exactly.
Oh, I always say never trust a child psychiatrist who doesn't have children.
Right.
Who hasn't at least thought of throwing them out the window.
Right.
Now, if they actually threw them out the window, don't trust them either.
There's boundaries there.
There are boundaries.
All right.
So let's jump in and talk about what motherhood does to the brain.
Oh, dear.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. And both of you can speak to this, but I know all of us, when we have children, we feel differently, but it was really eye-opening to know our brains are changing. They're structurally and functionally changing, as you both well know.
Yeah, I remember feeling like I had pregnancy dementia, but the problem was it didn't feel like it got better after I had the baby. So I mean, it was just, I used to like feel like I had it all together, and I had this really cool job, and all of a sudden I couldn't like just put it all. I just couldn't get it together in the mornings. I would lose my keys, and I'm just like running around. I felt flustered all the time. And
so, what does progesterone do to the brain? Isn't that the big flood? You get this flood of progesterone during pregnancy, which, we often say is the brain's natural Valium. It sort of settles people down.
Yeah, I don't like being settled down.
You don't do well.
I don't
when
like
you're
it
settled
at
down.
all.
I love this. I love this dynamic here.
Yeah.
But you're right. And that's, to take it back even just a step emotionally as to why I wrote the book, is I had this feeling, as you said, Daniel, I'm an ER doctor. In the ER, I can stand there and I can know that whatever comes through those double doors, I've got this.
Yes.
I can handle it. But then I became a patient myself. I developed arthritis in residency, and then I became a mom. And all of a sudden in my own health, I was like, wait, and especially looking at my friends and my patients who are moms, I felt like I don't got this. So I was like, well, what can I do? How can I take the skills I've learned in the ER and the resources I have access to take that mindset and bring that into my daily life? So I have that I've got this feeling again as a mom, and I can share that with people.
I love that. I'm so resonating with you right now. I was a nurse in a level A trauma center. And I didn't feel like I had it at all when I first started there. But over time, you feel like, okay, I can handle whatever trauma comes through, just because you just know, even when you can't handle it, you're going to handle it, right? But then I became a mom and I just felt like I wanted to break down every single day. So I just am completely resonating with what you're saying right now. It's crazy.
And Darria, in this podcast, so we are the Brain Warriors Way podcast because we believe that you're in a war for the health of your brain and your body. And you're in a war for the health of your children. When Pizza Hut can come to my niece's middle school every week and deliver lunch, it's a war we're actually losing. So talk to us about what moms can do to optimize the physical functioning of both their brains
so we
and
get it's
their
changing,
bodies.
but what can we do to sort of counteract that?
Well, physically, I mean, as you know, and as you just said, we are what we eat. And we've learned even more and more about the nutrition and what we take in and how that diet, the Western American diet, how it's at a much higher risk of depression and other sorts of psychiatric symptoms and conditions. So we know that what we eat makes a difference. High processed foods, high sugary foods, things like that, and high saturated fats. But then we also have to think about, especially for moms, sleep. And I know that y'all know very well the importance of that for our mental health. I mean, I remember being in residency, and this is where I learned that the CIA will never hire me because I would have given nuclear secrets away to get some sleep. I'd been up for 36 hours. And at the end of it, something happened. I think like my coffee spilled a drop. It was something minuscule, and I started bawling. I was crying, and I don't know why I'm crying. And my residency director said, sleep deprivation is a form of torture. You are crying because you are exhausted. And so I would remember that when I started to go crazy as a new mom. I was like, okay, it's not me that I'm going crazy. I am just exhausted. And so that's what I tried to also share with moms.
I love that.
And that is actually not just for women. It's also for men. I remember when I was a resident, it was earlier than you, they could keep us up for days. Right? There was like no laws against that. And I'm up 36 hours and I'm completely freaked out. I'm going to kill somebody. It's like, you do not want me in charge of anybody.
We had 2 residents collapse on our floor.
I'm
on the
not
floor.
surprised.
Yeah.
I am not surprised.
And so you have your usual body and then you're pregnant. And I can't.
It feels like a disease process.
I have 5 sisters and 3 daughters and 14 nieces. So I can imagine a little bit, but just the changes that go on in your body, it must make sleeping just really hard anyways. If somebody's kicking you from the inside. I mean, you know, as you sleep with me and I kick you from the outside.
I actually have to say, I actually loved being pregnant. I actually felt really good when I was pregnant, which I know is unusual for a lot of people. I worked out every day when I was pregnant, and I had an autoimmune issue that, according to my doctor, sort of shuts off when you're pregnant. So I didn't understand why I actually felt good when I was pregnant, and apparently that's why.
You actually felt that. That can happen.
Weird.
It's rare.
So, but I know the sleep issue was hard because you're just so big. And you have to get up and go to the bathroom every hour.
You have to pee every 3 minutes.
Oh my God. It was just like, how am I going to do this?
So are there any practical tips for pregnant women on how to actually take really good care of themselves?
Yeah.
I mean, I think exercising every day for me was really helpful. I didn't overdo it. You can't overdo it. But I mean, for me, that was helpful. And then speak to it.
Absolutely. That exercising is my little magic pill to keep me sane.
Yeah.
When people say, how do you exercise and do all these things? Like, well, exercise is why I can do those things.
It's medicine.
It really is. So I think, especially in pregnancy, you want to be taking less medications. You don't want to be having to take sleeping pills or things like that. So exercise, another thing I tell people, your circadian rhythm and melatonin, people are often taking melatonin supplements, but then they're up at 10 p.m. looking at their iPhone. It's like, well, you're suppressing your melatonin right there. Why don't you just put away the device or wear some blue blockers or dim the lights? Let your brain produce melatonin like it's supposed to. And people find a big difference. So the other flip side of that is, so I decrease light at night. And I really did this when I was pregnant because I had trouble sleeping when I was pregnant. First thing I do in the morning, I get that bright light, heavy dose of that. It stops my melatonin production and also kind of resets your clock. So you can also fall asleep earlier that night and wake up earlier the next morning.
Right.
So the two most important takeaways in this first podcast are diet. We should dive into that more because whatever you eat, the baby is getting nourished by or poisoned by.
Yep.
and
You're not
now
eating for you.
We know about epigenetics. Our podcasters know we have now a 7-month-old granddaughter, Haven, who's super,
oh my gosh,
who's super cute. But when Haven was born, when actually both of you were born with all of the eggs you'll ever have. And so it's not just about the baby; it's about generations of the baby.
One thing that helped me, actually, my doctor kept telling me, stop reading textbooks, because it was making me a little neurotic. But understanding sort of the developmental process of what was going on inside my body, because for me, that really like nailed and solidified why I needed to eat certain things and take my vitamins and why the nutrients were so important, because, at this stage, the brain is developing and this is happening. And that's why for me, it was so critical, because I'm like, oh, I'm not eating for me right now. I'm eating so that I have a healthy baby. Like, this is critical at this time to do this.
And in your cookbook, the Brain Warriors Way cookbook,
right,
there are incredibly nutritious recipes that are also delicious, right? I mean, one of our messages is there is no suffering in getting well.
Do you have recipes as well, Darria, or is it more
absolutely practical? And I talk about forget dieting, because dieting actually does increase your cortisol levels. It makes you miserable. Forget it.
First 3 letters in the word diet are die.
Yes, exactly. So no, I really tell people I have a couple of favorite nutritional lifestyles: Mediterranean, Okinawan, vegan, and mix those up as you like it. Fat is good. Whole foods are good. You don't have to count calories and go crazy, and you can really enjoy it. So I have a bunch of recipes. Mine are things you can do in 7 minutes or less. So really easy ways, like 10 different ways to cook vegetables in there, from blanching to roasting. And some really easy things, like my favorite ways to make some salads, what I call my longevity salad, and other easy ways. All right,
so let's talk about practical things when we come back. So when we come back, we're going to stick with mothers and mom hacks. And what I would love for us to do is, what are the little tiny habits, the quick things you can do to be healthy? Stay with us.
Love it.
Use the code podcast10 to get a 10% discount on a full evaluation at amenclinics.com or on our supplements at brainmdhealth.com. Thank you for listening to the Brain Warriors Way podcast. Go to iTunes and leave a review, and you'll automatically be entered into a drawing to get a free signed copy of the Brain Warriors Way and the Brain Warriors Way cookbook we give away every month.